Hello friends, I am Shelly Clough and today is day 9 of 12 days of Christmas tags. This is the design that we're painting today. I also did a Christmas card tutorial on this for my series of make 4 cards from one painting, so you can check that out as well. So let's go ahead and dive into today's tutorial. For our tag shape today, you see I have a couple of options here. So what I've done is actually just cut a rectangle that's about 2.5 by 4.5 inches. And I'll show you how we can sort of make that cute at the end here. But the first thing we're going to do is go in and paint our pine cones. So for my pine cones, I am just mixing up a really dark brown color. So I'm going to use burnt umber, and I'm going to add a little bit of Payne's gray to that to make it a little bit deeper and cooler. Payne's gray is like a really light kind of bluish gray color. And I have all of these colors and the palette that I use. It's all linked below if you want to see that. I have the whole, like a swatch card now of this palette if you want to see the way I lay it out. So once I've got my brown mixed up, I am just going in. This is my size 4 silver red sable brush that I'm using today. And I'm going to start my pine cone on the bottom is going to sort of come up over here. So I'm going to make my little top point and then work my way down with kind of these little scooping motions. I'm going to scoop, and then in the middle is going to be a little bit wider, and then kind of scoop on the sides. And just sort of at the side here, I tend to angle it out a little more, like let it get skinnier at the very edge. That makes it look a little bit round. And then have my middle shape be kind of heavier and wider, and then a little more narrow on the side. And it's sort of like a puzzle. I'm just scooting all these pieces so they're hugging onto each other. And then make it a little more narrow at the bottom here. So it's sort of it gets a little bit wider in the middle. I'm gonna do even one more little shape over here. So it gets a little wider in the middle and then a little thinner again at the bottom. And then what you can also do is kind of, if you feel like you have too much white space, you can just increase the size of some of these shapes and sort of tighten up that white space a little bit. You can make little points of connection if you want, but there is our first pine cone. Now we're just going to flip this over and do the other side. So this one is going to not be quite so much pine cone showing, sort of coming in at an angle. I'm going to do my initial little mark and then do my little scoops on the sides. Just going to lay those down, start working my pine cone through. This one, I just made that middle bit a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to go all the way to the corner here. So it looks like it's peeking off that corner. Okay, I actually am. This side feels a little too uniform to me. So I'm going to make a piece kind of poking out down over here to break that up. I don't like when an edge is perfectly straight. I like to catch some of kind of that bumpiness. So now that I've got my pine cones, I can make my pine needles. So I'm giving my brush a rinse, and then I'm actually going to start my pine needles with a really light brown. So I'm just going to make a little streak up of the brown and then start doing these tiny little flicks of my brush using super light pressure so I can get those skinny little lines. And I'm going to make kind of a light base with the brown, and then I'm going to go in with some green. So this is just a mix of viridian green and burnt umber, just sort of going over that so that I have a spectrum of color in my pine needle. Just making those light little flicks and trying to make sure that I alternate the direction on some of them so it's not perfectly all going in the same direction. It just gives it a little bit more organic of a look. And then I'm going to do another little one kind of over here. Make my little flicks. I'm not worried about these overlapping. That is okay. And then I'm just going to go in with that little different shade of green. And I like to tap a little extra in the middle to deepen up that middle portion. And then I'm going to turn it over and do some on the top. So my ones on the top are going to sort of curve in this way. So I'm going to come kind of over here and do some little flicks. Okay, so I'm just making those light little flicks here, trying to sort of fill up some of that empty space. Going in with a little bit darker green, mixing that up. Really trying to see how tiny and fine I can make these little flicks. Tapping a little extra color in the middle. And then I think I'm going to do one more sort of over this way. Get some of that brown color. Okay, and then we're going to go in with the green. Tap a little extra in the middle there. Okay, so now you can take a peek at things, see how you like the spacing of everything. I'm going to fill in just a little bit more over here. And I think I'm feeling pretty good about that. So now I'm just going to make sure this is all the way dry before I do any trimming on it to change the shape of my tag. So I'm just going to dry this really quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back with the dry tag, and I thought for this tag shape it would be fun to do a different corner punch that I have and use this kind of a wide squared off corner. So again, I just like to flip these over and so I can see exactly where my corner is and then just punch those out. Okay, so I like that kind of geometric style of design. And then I am going to do my center punch on top right here. All these punches and everything is linked down below if you want. And then I have my jute twine that I'm using. I take about 6 to 8 inches of that, fold it in half, and take the fold. We stuff that through the middle, and I just take my tails and put them through the loop. Pull it tight. And there is my tag. All right, so that is day 9 of our 12 days of tags. I will go ahead and add this. This is part of a playlist so that you can see all 12 tags at once they're all listed. I am so grateful that you're watching. I would love to hear any feedback or questions that you have down below. It's so fun to hear a little bit about who you are and where you're painting from. So if you want to leave that in the comments below, go ahead, and I would love you to subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.